Hello and welcome to this video. We are going to talk about league starters. Now, what I say and comment and my opinion may trigger or be controversial to people. I don't really care, but a heads up, I may say something that's not popular. The builds I am going to do are Hex Blast, Lightning Arrow, Righteous Fire, Absolution, and Bone Shatter. These are some of the builds I reckon will be mostly used. They might not be the tippity top popular this league, but 3 of them were this current league, and more than likely based on people enjoying those builds on top of content creators pushing them and everything, people are going to probably at least start with some of these builds. So probably good 50% of people will do one of these 5 builds. Let's get on with the builds. First up we have Hex Blast, which is obviously a chaos damage dealing curse gem, which is obviously blue as it indicates. The information's there, you can pause it and read through it if you're not quite sure what it does, but we're on the PoE wiki, so easy to find. It's a trusted resource. As you can see, it's got a couple of things that recommend you add with it. And some of the builds you come across is Hex Blast Mines, Saboteur. Ignore this, because that is only useful start of league when you have a credit card. In my opinion, a new player, the prism which I am looking through, a new player won't complete the campaign without an issue, which apparently most people think they do. They also won't have 3-4 divines to spend on this. Obviously it doesn't say 3-4 divines, it says different levels of chaos, but I've been told they can earn 3-4 divines by the end of campaign, and then by the time they hit tier 16 maps have 100-150 divines easy. So I'm not looking at the cost of things, because in my opinion new players won't have thousands of in-game dollars to actually spend. But you can see, tells you what kind of stuff. Life is actually quite down because you need to build damage through gear, in my opinion, which this actually has as well. The defense, you use Saboteur for it, and the problem is that this says not recommended for hardcore. That's because hardcore, obviously you die, you restart your character, and obviously softcore, you can die all you want, but you shouldn't pick a build even though you can die. That's just silly. You pick a survivability build and try not to die. And as a new player, as I said, the prism's going to be through a new player eyes. A new player wants something that's going to keep them alive more than kill them. And in my opinion, it gets there, but it's like middle of the range type builds for me. I would not recommend it as your first character. Okay, on to a very popular one, which is Righteous Fire. This was not the most popular league starter by the statistics. It was one of the top 5, but it was not the favorite. It is favored highly because of the people that create builds for this. And then on top of it, once you get it going, it's quite fun to play. Having the ring, which is obviously the Righteous Fire, going around you at all times, you're doing different things. It's quite a fun build to get when you get into it. Now, the big issue with it is the actual damage you do to yourself. And yeah, There's a different couple of styles with this one in particular. You obviously got the Juggernaut, which is the Marauder, and then you got the Inquisitor, which is obviously Templar. Now, the Juggernaut probably has a higher survivability because the Marauder has the nodes and everything, and then you go Juggernaut and you end up pretty tanky. If you want to go down the road of tankiness, you then got to give up damage, and yeah, it's a juggle to actually do the damage armor with Marauder, because that's one thing we'll get into with the Bone Shatterer, is the way you got to actually do stuff. Now, the actual one that most people would probably try to copy, depending on whether Pox goes with the Inquisitor, or he comes up with a new style, or he goes back to the Juggernaut if they change up some things with the Jug that he likes. He'll probably go the Templar build, so a lot of people will do it. Now, it's extremely tanky, but that's eventually, in my opinion, because by definition, Righteous Fire is actually quite dangerous. It takes you a couple of acts, even if you're not lucky with gear, it takes you half a campaign, really, because at the start of a league you won't have all the gems and all that to re-roll everything and do this, do that. You'll be collecting your currency. I think the biggest problem with Righteous Fire is the RNG of it. Once you get it going, it is good. If you can't get it going, you're not playing Righteous Fire. You're playing... Now we look at the leveling. He recommends you actually got to go to a different part for this. It doesn't actually say it here because it's a Righteous Fire build, so if you put anything else it just looks weird. Over here you start with Rolling Magma, then you go up to Rolling Magma with a Fire Surge. This is only if you can sustain it. Then your Vitality and all that, and then you start getting into more of it and more of it. And now, as you see, it's a different couple of links, different couple of colors, different colors. Now, obviously, the blue and red are going to help because they're actually easier to get on a piece of armor or a weapon. But I don't think at a league start, a new player should play this build because of the currency you need, just in case random generated stuff doesn't go your way. I played a couple, and when random generation comes your way and you get the gear, you get the links, you get the sockets, it builds quite quickly and gets powerful as you go. If you don't get the RNG, it doesn't work for you. You can't, then you got to do the crafting for the fire res because you're not getting the gear, and then you got to worry about everything else, and it's a nightmare if you don't have currency to just use on it. But yes, that's my opinion. A new player shouldn't use this as a league starter as their first character. Now, Bone Shatter. In my opinion, Bone Shatter is one of those clickbaity sort of gems. It is not in the top league starters, the top mid leagues, and as of this week, which is pretty much, I'm pretty sure, I'm safe to say it's pretty much the end of the league, and it's not up there. Primarily because it does not clear fast enough. I don't think that's just my opinion, but obviously my opinion is that it does not clear fast enough, but it keeps you alive because you use the Juggernaut, you take certain things, and it's very tanky the way you build the Bone Shatter build, and that's why people push it, because new players don't want to die, they want to feel like they're progressing through the content, and yeah, it's pretty much just like a clickbait sort of gem. It's good, you stay alive, you get to smack things in the face, it's fun up to a point. Then it's like, I either got to buy all this gear if you're on trade, or you got a credit card, which you'd need to be on trade anyway. Solo self-found, you might just start a new player. Obviously you do have options. You got the Slayer, or you got the Jug. I do think it's fun up until that point where you start needing gear and your damage needs to be pretty much by gear. Endgame stuff is more difficult because you don't take them out as quick, and in my opinion, the later in the game you play, not just this, other games, the quicker you need to take out your bosses or your enemies because they do more damage. The least damage they do to you, the better, which means the quicker you take care of them, the better. Bone Shatter does not fill that void. Pretty much, you're doing this to get to the end game, get resources, get currency, to start a new character. This build is pretty much, this is my first character. I will be playing another character. Okay, Lightning Arrow, the most popular league starter this league, and that's not even because of Lightning Arrow. It is because it transforms into Tornado Shot. So this build you're playing to play Tornado Shot. So if you see a Tornado Shot build guide, it will tell you to play Lightning Arrow. You can play Lightning Arrow, but it says change to do more damage and all that sort of stuff on builds. As you can see, it's got different things, different passive. It's got all the gems you'll require, which is obviously a good little look at and everything. All the different things, obviously ignore all the Divergent and Awakened. They're obviously the higher level gems. And I don't like when things add in uniques and stuff. Now, did this say it was a league starter build? And no, it's a buy the build for 50 divine orbs. If you're a starter build, check out league starter. So it's not a recommended league starter with all the stuff, so that's fine, but I still don't like they try to sell everything tell you to buy everything. Just my opinion. But as you can see, it goes through and it has this or that and has options. So if you're solo self-found, there is actual options as far as the gear you use or the gems you use. So Lightning Arrow does have a few ways to go. As you can see here, you can do Tornado Shot, which it says is capable of clearing pinnacle bosses. Tornado Shot is the most popular build right now in the current league. Its playstyle is probably a little friendlier to new players as well, because your range with a bow, obviously, if you hadn't noticed, it's Deadeye and Ranger. So just in case you weren't sure, it's a range build. So you actually stay a little safer than other builds because you have distance. As you can see, it actually says it's not tanky, but that's because it's a Ranger. Because the Ranger is actually on the other side where Dex is, not actually where all the life is. Obviously, there's ways to get life, put on life and everything, but it is not on the life node side predominantly, which is Marauder. Now, as a league starter for a new person, I would recommend it, but play the build as a ranger, not as a witch, which sometimes people play close up in your face, or a Templar where you're close up in people's faces, smacking them with stuff. You want to stay back and use your distance and keep things away and keep moving, and you'll stay alive. That's the positive and negative of this build. You get to take them from distance, but then you need to keep moving, so you need to actually be paying attention to what's going on. But I would recommend this lightning arrow. I'm not reviewing the build, so I'm not recommending this person's particular lightning arrow, but lightning arrow as a starter I would recommend if you play it properly. Absolution. This is, I'd say, a build people don't really like playing because they're not necessarily doing the damage, and the playstyle's a bit odd. It's fun, but yeah, minion necro build things sort of get a little, lack of a better term, disrespected, because it's not showboaty power, big thing. Yeah, it's just a matter of people's opinion. It wasn't one of the top builds in the league, but I reckon as a new player or as a league starter, for getting currency or just a build you want to play while people figure out the league, if you're one of those kind of people, you want to play Absolution. Now, pretty much the only build is Gazi TV's Absolution. Now, it's pretty much the only build you probably need, because other people just copy him for the most part. There are obviously different minion builds and all that you can see here, but the build you want to probably follow is someone who's been trying to do this and everything, which is why some of the like Pox, Righteous Fire, if you go Righteous Fire, follow his video. I reckon that's probably the best way to go for Righteous Fire, but my opinions on that is still the same. Now, obviously, leveling, you're doing different things. Absolution you get quite early. You just need to get to level 16, level 12, which is in Act 2, because you finish Act 1 around level 10, and then by the time you get level 12, level 16, you're in Act 2. Obviously, this sort of stuff ain't gonna matter unless you don't play until a couple of weeks in and people actually got this stuff. You swipe your credit card, you buy it, and then you can play it. But if you're doing that, then what are you doing, watching a build guide or anything? You may as well just pay someone to play for you, because there's no point in actually trying to do anything. You may as well just pay someone for the build if you're gonna do that. But yeah, he's got different things, but Absolution as itself can do damage. You then got the minions and all that, which Absolution build actually is about, because Absolution is a gem. The actual build creates Absolution to what it should be. In my opinion, the actual minion build around Absolution is Absolution, because you get sentinels in that, which aren't all that dangerous by themselves. They can be good for you. Early on, you're going to be doing bosses with pretty much just these guys until you get the minions with the HP to survive, and then your other minions are going to help with them. What you do want to do though is look down the road at different sockets and that, and as I scroll through you can see who gets in what, because obviously anyone can play any build. But as you can see, you can access it Act 1, but you're not going to be high enough level. You can hold on to it or whatever, but you might as well just buy it when you're correct level. Now, the build does require you to do tree damage. Now, what I mean by that is in the tree you do need to mainly focus on the different nodes that keep your minions alive, because they are pretty much playing the game for you. You are pretty much just telling them what to do and how to do it. So if you don't like that sort of play, don't do this build. I'd suggest Bone Shatter. If you don't like this sort of thing, go Bone Shatter. Because if you don't want to do this as a league starter, then Bone Shatter is probably for you. And because if you don't like this, you won't do Lightning Arrow, because it's similar gameplay, except this you run into their face a little more than the Lightning Arrow. In actual terms of ranking, we'll get into that now. Okay, where would I put each of the builds for the league starters? On the bottom, I would probably put Hex Blast. And next to that, I would then put Bone Shatter. This is purely out of what you are going to end up with. Bone Shatter, you're doing it for other builds, in my opinion. You're nice, safe, if you're a brand new player, you get to learn the game without much danger, but you're getting to a point, getting all the stuff, and then you're going to start a new character. So I can't really rank it up too high. Next, I would put Righteous Fire. These top three are pretty close. Righteous Fire I'd put as number 2A. Absolution, probably 2B, the interchangeable. But pretty much both of those builds you can run, providing you get the resources with Absolution by the tree, with Righteous Fire by gear. If you can have to pick one where you don't want to rely on random drops, I'd pick Absolution, because it's just trees, so once you level, your people are alive and you're able to get drops that way. Righteous Fire and Lightning Arrow, Tornado Shot is actually the ones that are going to probably be in the top 5 next league. So if you want to play a popular one, they're the two you pick. But I recommend Absolution or Lightning Arrow as a starter. Well, but that's my opinion. I will look at the comments and all that, hit the buttons, like, subscribe, donate if you'd like to. It would mean a lot. But bye bye and have a good one.